Cool. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let me know when you can see my screen. Nice. Thank you. Let's give. Yeah. Let's give people some time. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ase. As we wait for other people, I think I can get started and revive what we probably learned in our last stream, which was like a build the Node.js or let's say Express API um, using Jest. You not using Jest, but using Express and Node.js. So what we are going to look today is to do testing of the same um, using Jest and Express. So just to do the recap, what we did for those who were not there is we did four endpoints, one for creating, reading, updating, and deleting an expense. And what we defined in our expense is just like having a name and amount of the expenses that you need. Also, for those who can remember from our last discussion, was that we did some queries just to find like certain amount. If let's say a user passes amount greater than 50 or greater than 20, then it will only return the queries or the items that have that are greater than 20. Yeah, the other thing was getting a single or reading one expense based on its ID. We also did updating the same and deleting an expense. So what we are going to do today is to learn or to go through how we can do testing for the same unit test for that case. Yeah, so I am going first of all. Like I'll delete this. I don't think this is necessary again. I'll be deleting it permanent. So what I'll be creating is I'll be creating a file called test.js, which will contain all tests and its configurations. So for today's test, what we are going to do is most of the time we always run tests. So I can say like index.test JS just to showcase the difference between a test file and a real file. That's what I can say for that. So to start testing our application is first of all is to install the packages that we need, which for this case we mentioned about using Jest. So I will put the documentation here just for reference. So I'll be doing installation of the packages, which is Jest. So I'll do an npm Jest for that case. So As I mentioned last week, yeah, not last week, but last session, is the difference between dependencies and dev dependencies. Dev dependencies are those dependencies that you need during development. For instance, for unit testing, what we are doing is just to check that are we getting what we are expecting, or is our application getting us what we expected to do. That's basically most what testing is all about. I'll do some expansion here and also do some expansion here, just so to make things a little feasible. So the next thing that I will do after the installation, so we already have the Jest, I will follow the documentation, because since it has been long since I used Jest for testing. So thanks, Chef Kit. Welcome. So the next thing is to run a test. So for example, what we'll do is I will be writing a test, which is like just one test to just expound and make sure that we are running our application, or our application is running expectedly, or what we expect. So during our last time, what we did on test, we wrote npm test, which we should not be writing that. So we should be changing that with chest so that it will run our test for chest. The next thing that I'll do is under index, I will just do one test. So I will just write test. So this is test check working, like something like that. I just wanna make sure that I'm just writing uh, something, and then what I am doing is just expected true is true. I will explain this in a little bit. So what I want here is not just to start write test, but just to see if we are running our test, or tests are running successfully. So what I will be running for this case is just like do an npm run test, just to see if tests are running. So it says our tests are running, one passing, one working. So as you can see, the only thing that I have done is tested to make sure that chest is running and expect it true to be true, which is equivalent, like expect one to be one. That's what, if we want to see if our test will fail, is expect true to be false. Something like that. That is literally false. So that is like our test will fail and say that it's expecting false, but the results is true. What does that mean? That means literally that the expectation for this test is something to be true, but in result, what, and not something to be false, but in return, what, not expected true, but what in return it returned is false. Sorry for that. Like what it is expecting is false, but what it has received is true. So for such a case is, for example, maybe here in our code, we expect when we are getting expenses and query and expenses, what we expect is to just make sure that we are getting maybe item or not item. Or when we are querying item that has amount greater than 50, we are only getting queries that are greater than 50. That's part of the test. Though there are things like called the TDD. TDD is test-driven development, where you write your test first before writing your code. Although I don't practice that most of the time, but that's um, the best way you can do your work, or you can do more testing. Yeah. So the next thing that I will be doing is so I can see that my tests are running. There are some configuration that you can put, such as that will give you coverage. Let me just search just with coverage. So I can just put, if I just need to to put, I think it is dash dash coverage, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So this is what is expected dash dash collect the coverage. So we'll just do this in our package.json and run our test. Sorry. Let's say we'll just get 0. So I will be fixing this test. So for this coverage, it won't run exactly right now for how many files, but because we haven't identified the files, but we'll be coming and doing that tests later. So the next thing that we can do, or we might need to do while doing Jest is just to get the documentation we have gotten uh, those data. One thing that we can expect is, I think I shared, if you are in one of our groups, which is WhatsApp group, you will get that I share documentation on how to invoke MongoDB. So I'll just do Jest.js invoke MongoDB. So that's what I'll be using. So using it with Mongo, because when we set our application, we set up with Mongo. So the first thing that we'll need it to do is using or setting up the Mongo. And what I mentioned is we don't know everything while coding. Sometimes if you have some experience and somebody tells you what to do, you might be using documentation as I am working right now. So yeah. So using with Mongo, so what you will need to do is save this this, and then what we are going to do is do the insertion C configuration. Let me just so yeah, I'll just be doing I'll just be doing this. Let me just do not, but let me first of all, instead of doing this, let me configure first of all uh, the preset or the just configuration file. So I'll do so sorry, we just configure configure chest. So what we'll do is chest also, yeah. So in recommendation, configuring Jest is dedicated for this. The file will be discovered automatically if it is named jest.configure.js, ts, json, or stuff. So for us, we'll just say, put it as jest.config.js. So for our configuration for testing, we'll create a new file called jest.config.js. Uh, yes. So, and what we are going to do is to do the testing. So, for instance, so import chest, type config purpose stuff. I don't think I needed that. Do I really need that? No, I don't think I need that. So the thing that I will do is I will expect this pale, maybe buffers. Uh, Alternatively, chest configuration can be done through chest, which is under the package.json. So I can do this because I don't want to have more files. So I might decide to go this second route, which is like instead of having a newer file for chest configuration. So yeah. So I'll be doing the chest configuration under this, so which is code. So so after doing that configuration, it gives me an option to do like extend modules, automok, pale, cache category, clear, coverage, stuff like that. So For now, I don't think I need to do setup of anything here unless we run into problem, and unless I want to set up uh, test runner or something like that. Runner, let me just show root directory, the root directory containing just three packages, something like that. I don't want to do that. So the only thing that I'll do next is presets, which I can configure that from the package.json. It should be something like that. And then, yeah, boom, we have that setting. So we'll be going back to our documentation and start or continue working on setting up. So we'll require Mongo and do the mock stuff. So I'll be working on this hand in hand as I code this. So bear with me. I'll just be, for now, I don't want to copy everything. It's going to make a lot of sense. So let me just open this into full. So what I'll do here is to start writing my test, which is so for this, I'll just remove this. Sorry, and then do the setup. Okay. So what I'll require is, because I need to mock. What I can say is the last time I said is we need to do the mock stuff, mocking MongoDB, Mongo client. So I'll call Mongo client as recommended. Most of the time, the testing does this. And then the other thing is, if we want to write more than one test in our code, what we do is just write before, or not start with the describe. Describe. So tests for index, something like that, and then write them as function. So, and then you can start writing the first question, first test. So the first test that we need, we'll use it. I'll explain later. So this, so it, for example, for our first test, what I can share here is, I one day, my first test is I can be able to read, not like I need to be able to read all um all expenses, something like that. I don't know if that makes some sense. So yeah, so let me uh, I can read all expenses. So that's the first test. And what we can expect here is, as I mentioned, I will just notice as I will expect maybe result to be, let's say, name, name test one, amount to be 20, and expected to have two results inside, or inside that database. Test two, and have the amount to be 100. So, for instance, one of the results that I always expect when reading sum or expenses is, I expect it to be a result, or a result that is an array. So do I mean by an array? For instance, when we have results here, we always get or find results from MongoDB, not MongoDB, but yes, from MongoDB, and then like those results should be in an array. So we expect that data um, to be an array. So for instance, one of the things is expect result dot to be array. Is it like that? Yeah, something like that. So this is just a test for this case. I don't know if set. Okay, I've written the expect in a different, should be here. That's like the first test. I can run and see as I debug. So validation, chef not found. So that means I did not install it. So I need to do some installation. I need to do some installation. Nice. Nice. Nice one. Nice one. Okay, let's wait as it does some installation. For the for the testing of the, I think just won't help us that much with eating of the endpoint. So we will, one of the things that we will make use of is the super test. So we'll use another package that's called the super test to help us eat or act as a super agent for HTTP server. So that will also help us to do the install of, or to do more testing when it comes to the HTTP request. So I'll do that setup just to make sure that we're looking good. We're looking good. Yes. Yeah. So for this, okay, cool. I have done the installation of that, so I'll try to see if tests can now run. Okay, yeah. We'll have starting the MongoDB server error. We'll fix that later where it doesn't open any instance. So let me try. I think there's no setup there. Still no setup. So I'll try to, as I do the installation. Okay, let me just give me a minute. Let me work without it first of all. I don't want to overburden first of all the setup of Mongo because you'll need more setups. Yeah, one is failing. It expects not 2p but 2p of type. 2p of type, not 2p, 2 expected is type. So um, let me just check here. Expected type 2p in chest. Is this Chrome not loading? Is it loading? Yeah, so it's loading. So expected type of chest. So to see expected type of p to have been called. There are many methods that you can use from from this. So to be equal to much, I want something called a type, to be of type. Just just check on that. Okay, later. Yeah. So the next thing that I will be doing is okay. Okay. So okay. 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 Let me just finish. I don't know if you can see my screen still. So we'll do the setup. Let me just do the setup for the Mongo. But one of the things that I wanted us to do while the test is running before even doing the insertion. So for this one, I'll just expect these results here. So I'll be using this during the insertion of items in our database or something like that. So I don't think I'll need this right now just to be filling my screen. So what one thing that I want is we have our super test. So super test is the one that will be eating these endpoints. Just bear with me with that, so that we will be mocking or calling these endpoints and run them. So the first thing that we need to do, or what I will be doing, is require the super test. So we'll just start with requested or something like that. So super test will act as our HTTP super test. So it will help us like mock the actual API. So the next thing that we will have to import is we'll import our application. So one thing we will do is constant of our hub is we will require it from index. So so one of the things that means that leaves me to do some export of, like, or do an exportation of the app. That's like module that exports app. So I just need to make sure that this is what I'm getting. So just wanna make sure I have result. Okay, okay. Attempting to run the server. So that means our app is there. So that's cool. That's what I needed to see. As you can see, as we are trying to start running the application or importing, it starts testing these apps. So we could on that. Um, so the next thing, apart even from after importation of our app, so the next thing is I will do the testing after. So the first thing that I'll do is read all expenses, and what I expect here is one thing. Yes, like I will do constant. The response is so most of it of our functions is async and wait, which are promise based. which will do what is called request using super test. And what we are requesting is from our app, which is what we are importing there. Dot get. What we are getting is what we want to test is the X. So let me just make sure that we have the correct, yeah. So yeah, nice one. So that's what we expected. The first thing that I know we expect here is we expect our response dot status dot status dot 2p, yeah, 2p equals to 200 when we have data in it. That's the first thing. And then the next thing obvious we expect is the response dot body, which I mentioned is inside the body. So the items that are there probably will use something lengthy dot 2p dot 2p greater than 0. So we'll be expecting something to be there. So we'll go details into testing the pod itself, or if we want to check. But for now, let's just test that. This will fail, definitely. That's what you expect to fail. If the so this one should fail, yeah. It should fail. Why? One, because Mongoose error, it can't find the operation. Uh, it can't find the setup which we will need to set up the Mongo DP. So for this test, what I will be doing is we'll use the real, before doing the mock one, let me use the real database, which is, that's it. Like, let me use the real database before doing the other setup, just to make sure that we could for that case. So first thing, when doing the database, what we'll do is we used Mongoose, so we'll just require, uh, do we not have Mongoose here? So we'll just require it from Mongoose. So this it. So that's one of the things. And then before each test, what we'll be doing is we will be making sure that we create the connection of the database. So what does that mean? It means that we will await Mongoose and then we'll do the connection. And then what we are going to do is what we already have, or we connect it to our database, which I think it's here, DB name. So we'll be exporting. So we'll just be exporting this DB name also to just be exporting DB name from DB so that we can be able to access from index as we do testing of the same. So we'll do require, not require, but constant get, sorry, DB. What we'll be requiring is a DB name or our database name, and then we'll use these for testing. So we'll be connecting to that URL. The next thing that we need to do is after every test, what we require is also to close our connection so that uh, it doesn't run till the end. So after every test, after each test, we will do an async function which will be awaiting what? Await Mongoose dot connection dot close. So we'll be closing our connection so that before the test, we are doing the connection to our DB, and then before the test, we are doing our connection to the DB, and then after test, we will be doing closing or terminating that to the DB. So, but later on the other stage, we will be coming and doing using shelf at Jest MongoDB to do those connections. But for now, let me just do the testing, and then it will be easier to come and do the conversion later. Yeah. So successfully connected to our database, and then it runs the test, and then boom. Let me see if that. Yeah. So one test fails, but things good. So yeah. So this exceeded timeout of 5,000 ms for for this to increase the timeout if you are running long tests. So yeah, we can increase the timeout for this test. So sorry for that. So increasing that time, that just the timeout, we can increase it from from package.log where we are running chest so dot coverage. So what we'll be doing is just to increase that timeout to, let me increase to 10 seconds. Let's see if that works because of the connection, probably because of the connection. But that should not be a bigger deal doing that, unless there's somewhere we have done a mess in our in our data. So I will be using some logs. If that test doesn't run, we'll start be using tests, which is for instance just logging here, logging the error. The next thing is if we see we can log uh, started, something like that. So those are some of the things that we can use to check that, because 5 seconds should be enough for this. So that means it has not connected. So server timeout of 10,000 after each. So okay, sorry. So let me do some trials here. Successfully connected. So that should not be a timeout issue, but let me see. Probably it will say timeout. Increase longer. Okay. Because if timeout is an issue here, I think I have an issue with my test, so, or having an issue with the connection of the DB, which should have connected. Let me check. Request.hub.get expenses. Let me just see that is true. Log started. Let me see if test for index console.log ep. Yeah, so let me just take a look to DB. Successful connection of the DB. Successful connection of the success connection to the DB, which is okay. So, okay, let me just keep going and see if I can see an issue. So, let me just check, double check. Async. So the method is async. It's not the problem. Await the request, and request is super test. So yeah. I don't know why. Let me give me some time here. I just need to check. You need to check something. Just give me. Okay, so okay, let me just bring here the documentation for bring documentation, or let me just do this if I can do the connection here. So connection URL versa. Just do the let's connection await connection dot close users db.library. So request super test the update requested it. Okay, I know. Let me just try something here. Just nice. So do that, and then some stuff. Nice. So let me just check this error out. I think it's just timeout issue, because if it takes more than that, should so yeah. So here it says the default timeout is this. You can set timeout to be this. Set timeout. I don't expect it to. Okay, how do we set as? I think most of them are recommending setting time out to be 30,000 times. So that's 30 seconds. Not, is it 3 seconds or 30 seconds? Like, so let me just try to set this store. So let me try doing running under the node env of test just to see if we are getting the same results. So one of the things that I will do here is first of all to see if the problem is MongoDB or the problem is let me see if problem is connection to MongoDB or there is another bigger problem than that during the testing. So that's what I'll do. So we'll just do the cancellation of connecting to MongoDB and do my results. See, yeah. So server is running. So it expected 200. So the issue is the connection. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Makes total sense. So ready listening. Expected received past expected 0 received 0 expected greater than 0. Let me do let me do here. Let me just do something here and then see if that is okay. Let me put one here to see if this test will run successfully. The response status dot okay dot related dot type dot body. Okay, so it's coming as stored body. So stored body. So this is just for testing to make sure that our actual data is not it's not tampered with. Okay, let's see. I will do try to formalize this. Okay, sure. So give me some minute. I didn't prepare well for these errors, but okay. Just be working through it. So leave alone with this timeout stuff. So I think what we'll be doing is just let's configure our MongoDB connection. So just do configurations of our test. So let me just let me think 1 minute. 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 Just give me a minute. Super test, super test, super test, super test, super test. Mm. So from the documentation, super test. Let's see this. Um, what is expect is if you get this, I think we need to set this. It's just after so it's a high level for testing HTTP while other drops out lower level and revert simply requires super test. HTTP or function request it serves as if the server is not already listening to connection, then it will bound to external super test works well. So of this, you have to get expect this unexpected 200. So nice. Um, require hazard. So where is hazard being used? Mm, you can also use promises. Just give me a minute. Sorry. Expected to use hazard response.json. Okay, that expected expected. Okay, that's it. Or a singer wait. Okay, let me see for this a singer wait. So for the singer wait, I think I'm missing this. Let's dot get users set. So question set. Dot headers content type JSON. Okay. Dot headers dot status code. That's it. Let's see. Give me 1 minute. Question. Email expects this. Give me a minute. Dun, 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 dun. Expect as previous next test. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Oh, cool. Just 1 minute, I'm checking in. Check something. So round. Expect is let's see if I let me see if I make some changes here. That works. So what I'll do is do EP, which is under the DP. DP is await mongoose dot connect. So connect it. After the connection is now when you want to listen, see that the case. Mhm. I don't know what. This. Let me check something. So one of the things that I've realized is that makes this connection not to be connected or like exceeding timeout is when I'm doing my start of the happier or I'm doing hub dot listening. So one of the things that I should be doing is like maybe I have a function called start, which and the start what it does. The application first of all, let's see, um, let's catch any error. Throw this error. So what I'll be doing with this application is one of the things that start will do is await the connection of database, and then after awaiting the connection of the database is now when we call our app dot listen to 3000, maybe something like that. And instead of calling, we just lock. or just have a function lock that. So the lock server listening. So that's one of the problem. And then I can just call my app here, start the application here. Let me see if that will fix my problem of timeout. Doesn't it's okay. I don't think. Okay, so it errors out. So what it does is it does error out Mongo server selection could not connect it to any server of Mongo Atlas, so which is okay. So that brings us to do the connection here and close our connection afterwards. Do the let's see. Ay, okay. So buffering timeout. So read the expenses. Set this. So let me see if the connection started. Uh, so it has started operation. Buffering. The error in connecting to database. So, error in connecting the database. Expense. Not fine. Yeah. Give me a minute here. So let me do this. And some model.